This video is sponsored by Warby Parker.
One small thing that bugged me about Shang-Chi was Katy's arc. Listen, is this nitpicky? Probably. So if you don't like nitpicks, this probably is not for you. And this is not me complaining about comments or anything like that. Please, still comment that it is nitpicky. It helps engagement. And if you don't think it's nitpicky, still comment. Tell me who you believe the definitive Spider-Man is. That seems like the kind of thing the algorithm will eat up. I'll wait. Okay, so Katy. Good old Katy. I'm not going to pretend that I was always on board with this character. It seemed like the kind of wacky comic relief character that would work well in small doses but could wear out its welcome quickly. And when I say that Shang-Chi did Katy dirty, I don't mean that her big screen adaptation was a poor representation of her comic counterpart, since there is no comic Katy, at least as far as I know. But overall, this new character worked as well as I could have hoped. A few jokes here and there that landed, mostly an excuse for a bunch of characters to throw out some exposition, and she had an emotional scene or two with Shang-Chi, so that's good. But, okay, so the archery thing. I don't have a problem with Katy making the perfect shot after a day of training and hitting the Dweller in Darkness. Sure, I mean, as long as everyone is shooting arrows, a bunch, someone's gonna hit him, eventually. It's beginner's luck. What bugged me about the archery bit is how we got there. Katy goes with Shang-Chi and Xialing to Ta Lo and helps an old woman bring her arrows to the target range, and on their way, Katy gives this person an earful of her character arc in these words. I just love how you guys know exactly what you want to do and you spend your whole life getting really good at it. I wish I was more like that. It's like every time I get moderately good at something, I just quit and start something new. I just know my own limits, and I'm not going to waste my time chasing something that will ultimately be a disappointment for me. That's not me. Now, the woman says, if you aim for nothing, you hit nothing. And that causes Katy to be inspired about archery for the afternoon, which gives her the opportunity to shoot the Dweller in Darkness right before it desouls the Great Protector. First of all, if that was your character flaw, Katy, we have not solved it. You spent a day on archery. This is not you picking it up after failing for a long time or something. If anything, this is the opposite. You started archery, did pretty well in the beginning. The follow-through is the important part, at least according to you, but that's not really my issue. I would argue that the issue fails Katy in a really strange way. Listen, Katy, that thing you said. You give up on things before you get good at them. Did you watch the same movie I did? Katy, you drove a bus well enough to save everyone on board, when the bus had no brakes and had no back of the bus. Then you drove a BMW well enough to escape the 10 rings. Then you drove that same BMW well enough to navigate a mystical murder forest. Shang-Chi had seen Nora from Queens, like it knows what an Awkwafina character arc is supposed to look like. She's a loser who has lots of potential but doesn't ever achieve anything because she's afraid of failure, like Katy says. But the Katy we are presented with in this movie is not Nora from Queens. She's Katy from San Francisco, and she's one of the best drivers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, take away all the characters with super senses or augmentations like Rocket or Taskmaster or Daredevil, and then everyone with super assassin government training like Bucky or Hawkeye or Black Widow. Katy might be the best driver in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a universe, mind you, with some pretty awful drivers. In fact, out of everyone in the MCU that's not a super spy like Nick Fury or a metahuman like Venom, I don't know if he counts, who knows. I think you could make the case that the three most naturally skilled drivers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are Happy, Luis, and Katy, who also happen to be the three comedic sidekicks that I find the most entertaining. So Katy has this incredible skill, and what's more, it is her job. She parks fancy cars for a living, and she seems to be pretty good at it. And when Katy's mom gets after her and asks Shang if she's looking for a new job, he replies that Katy really likes her job, and that's fine. The same thing happens with their friend. The friend is giving Shang and Katy a hard time for not growing up, but they have relatively stable jobs that they seem to like doing. Nothing presented in the movie would suggest that this job is low paying or a waste of Katy's talents. Yeah, Katy still lives at home, but rent prices in San Francisco are unreal. I do not blame her. Plus, Shang does the same job without support from his family, and he has his own place. So, Katy could do it. Maybe it's because she's bad with money or has a lot of student loans. She did go to Berkeley. Or maybe she just likes being at home. But Katy is selling herself short. She's very good at driving, and it's how she pays the bills. Yes, if there was some subplot about Katy not taking a job as Pepper Potts' chauffeur or whatever, that's one thing. Then she's taken the easier option instead of the challenging one. But this plot line throws Katy under the bus for not working at an office. And I don't care for it. Movies love to use jobs like this as shorthand for a poor lifestyle choice, but it's a job. One Katy is good at, and one that gives Katy time to hone the skills that Katy uses to save the world. But in Talo, the movie gives up on that to tell us that Katy is actually a screw-up who needs to stick to something, and that something ends up being archery. And this is not a one small change video, necessarily. Maybe it's more of a rant. But, why can't Katy drive something at the end of the movie? Have Katy hop on the back of a lion, or a horse, or get back in that BMW. Maybe incorporate that into her archery. If the Soul Stealers are blocking the Dweller in Darkness, Katy can use the BMW to drive to get a better vantage point. So then we're incorporating her defining skill set into the finale. Hell, maybe instead of Xialing just stepping onto the Great Protector, have Katy drive the BMW with Xialing in the passenger seat onto the Great Protector. Who cares? It's awesome. Maybe Katy can get out and drive the dragon. I'm just spitballing here. The point is, to all the Katys out there, just because you are not a doctor or an accountant, that doesn't mean you can't do a job you like, because that's great. And who knows, maybe one day you too can drive a car up a dragon or whatever to save the world.
Okay, let's call this an addendum. You see, I wrote and recorded this video when Shang-Chi came out, but couldn't find enough good footage or images of Katy, so I decided to wait on it until it was released. So I'm looking at scenes from this movie, and I happen upon Shang-Chi's deleted scenes, and wow, do they change the movie. It is wild how much character development they cut out of the movie with these scenes. I'd check them all out because there's some nice ones between Shang and Wenwu and Shang and Xialing, but I want to focus on the Katy and Razor Fist scenes specifically. Now, I'm not saying these should have been in the movie. It very well may have interrupted the flow of the story to the point that something needed to go and these scenes didn't serve enough of a purpose to remain. But I want to talk you through some of them so you can see what this version of the movie would have looked like. First of all, there's a scene where Katy pretty much admits that she's into Shang, but doesn't want to ruin the friendship, which is pretty wild to me, since the choice to have Katy be a platonic friend seemed pretty deliberate, but I guess it wasn't. Or maybe the script was purposefully written both ways so the producers could see what tested well and just go with that. That feels about right. But then, we've got a scene with Razor Fist sitting at a dinner table where Wenwu tells Shang-Chi and Katy that Razor Fist is basically his adopted son, which, that is completely left out of the final cut. I don't think it's necessary, but still feels wild to lose. Also, in the original script, Razor Fist sacrifices himself to get Katy her bow and arrow, so he does not survive the original movie. Can you imagine being the actor for Razor Fist and be like, oh, here's my two most emotional scenes where I really show off my character development. Both of them get cut? Crazy. But okay, let's talk about Katy. We have a scene where she talks to Trevor and he tells her that she should be great. She shouldn't be afraid of greatness. So we're really leading into this whole Katy isn't applying herself arc, but at least here we get a hint that she's scared before she talks to the archer. There's also another scene where Katy and Shang distract the garage guard by talking about best parking practices, so the movie cut a scene where Katy not only uses driving, but specifically valet parking knowledge to help the group. Wild. There's also another deleted scene that focuses on Katy and Trevor, and I talk about that in this video's Nebula Plus segment because it is way more related to the thing that was already the Nebula Plus segment when I recorded this video 3 months ago. But then the big one. Before Razor Fist sacrifices himself, he gives Katy a pep talk and tells her she can drive and shoot better than half the men in his army. There was a scene in this movie where Katy gets credit for being a great driver. It was in there, and then they cut it out. I imagine it hurt the pacing, which sure, but just that acknowledgement might have been enough for me. I wish the movie was able to give her credit. Let Katy live her best life. Marvel editors? I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore. It just goes to show you that if there's ever something that you think really should have been in the movie because it just makes too much sense, there's a good chance it's a deleted scene. Speaking of living your best life, I want to talk to you guys about this video sponsor, Warby Parker. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, hey Nando, you don't wear eyeglasses. Correct. However, I do wear sunglasses. I love sunglasses. They're my treat yourself kind of thing. Never been a big shoe guy, never been a big hat guy. I love sunglasses. And Warby Parker makes eyeglasses, contact lenses, and sunglasses. Here's how it works. You go online, go to warbyparker.com, and you pick out 5 different glasses that you think might look cool on you. Now I'm going to show you the 5 that I got. They all come in this little box, this cool little box, and you open it up, and they are all right here. So I'm going to model some glasses for you guys, starting with the 3 I didn't end up picking, and there's no obligation to buy, so you could get all 5 and then go, I don't like them, send them all back. It's fine. First one here, we got the Fletchers. I like the fit, not huge on black in general, so I said, you know what? Not these guys. These are fun ones. These are the Haltons. So I like them. Love the look of them. They're a little too narrow for my face. And there's a variety of different glasses for different head shapes, from narrow, normal size, wide, extra wide. You got a big giant head like me, you still got some options. These, very similar. The Sydney. Love the look. Same problem. A little too narrow for my face. Then we got the Downing. These are one of the winners. Two-tone. I love it. You got the Shale. It fades down to this kind of mahogany color here. Very comfortable fit, very cool looking. Last one, these are also winners. Got the Mead. Well, look at that. Love what's going on here. This is very cool. They're a seaweed crystal. They fit my face great. Then you go on the website and pick the ones you like. Send this guy back, and they send you your glasses. It's so easy, really is so easy. Warby Parker is committed to providing exceptional vision care online and in stores, offering eyeglasses, sunglasses, eye exams, and even contact lenses. Glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. And since you're trying them on at home, you can ask your friends or family, you can model the glasses, say, hey, how do these frame my face? What do we think of the color? They can help you make a good decision. Don't let your FSA or HSA dollars go to waste. Put them to good use on Warby Parker's prescription eyeglasses, prescription sunglasses, eye exams, or contact lenses. And try Warby Parker's free home try-on program. You order 5 pairs of glasses to try on at home for free for 5 days. There is no obligation to buy. Ships free, includes a prepaid return shipping label. Try 5 pairs of glasses at home for free at warbyparker.com/Nando. As always, gotta give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Book club this month, Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Really excited for that. Listen to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Nando View Movies on all those platforms. That's all I got. Stay safe. See you next time.